Good morning, long time no see. It's been a hot minute since I stood in front of my camera and filmed. I've taken a little bit of a break since my birthday, which was my last video. It was like my birthday review, I guess. I just needed to get my life in order, have a little bit of a creative rest. My brain was very burnt out. When you do a creative job, it is so rewarding, so much fun, such a privilege, but it can definitely drain your mind a little bit. So it was really important to me after my birthday that I just took a little breather. I did try to film a few different videos, but I hated every single one of them. Been a weird creative rut. It's been driving me insane, but after having a break, I do feel like I've got my head sorted and I'm really looking forward to being more consistent again. And also just like taking more care of my community again, because I feel like I have almost withdrawn into myself a little bit and I haven't been as consistent in like replying to your comments, your DMs, and like all of the things that you guys normally do where you like ask me questions about building garments and stuff like that. So I definitely will be more mindful of that moving forward. I will try to start replying to your comments and your DMs again, so I apologize for that. It's meant to be raining all week, which is crazy because yesterday was like 32 degrees and now it's like pouring down with rain outside. I think what I'm going to do is go thrifting. It's been a hot minute since I have taken the time to go thrifting and I love it. It's like one of my all-time favorite things to do, and since learning how to sew I love it even more because I can obviously like upcycle the pieces that I thrift. I'm not limited to only finding things that I would actually wear as they are. We're going into silly season. We're in November now. My social calendar is filling up, so I feel like it's the perfect time to build up my wardrobe for this season a little bit more. Also, with it being like a rainy week, I think it's like the perfect time to just be a hermit and create. Tomorrow is a public holiday in Melbourne, but because the public holiday is on a Tuesday, a lot of people also take the Monday off. So I'm hoping that the op shops won't be too busy today. It is 9 a.m, so they would have only just opened, so I feel like the sooner I get there, the better. So I should probably shut up. Let's go. There's a few things I'm hoping to find today. It's kind of risky to go thrifting with a goal because I feel like I always find the best stuff when I'm not looking for anything in particular. And the one thing I always tell people is to thrift with an open mind rather than a checklist. But there are a few things I've been wanting to make. So my aim is to find like a minimum 3 of these things, and then I can just look around to see what else I can find. So I want to find some vintage lace. I feel like you can do so much with vintage lace and it's usually pretty easy to find. In a similar bracket, I'd like to find some old blankets and sheets with some fun patterns. I've also been seeing a lot of clothing made out of ties lately and it seems easy enough maybe. So I think old ties and scarves would be handy. Vintage graphic tees are usually pretty easy to find and you can do plenty with them. So hopefully I can grab some of those. And then we have keychains and jewelry. And lastly, something that I've never really looked for before, but I think would be interesting to find, which is vintage crochet and sewing patterns. This store's the biggest one out of the 3 I usually go to, so I figured it'd be my best bet to find what I was after. I went straight to the textile section and immediately spotted this old lace pillow cover. I've been wanting to make a handbag out of vintage lace, and the way that this pillowcase has been stitched is actually perfect for that kind of flip. I also found a super cute lace panel that I think would be perfect for a top. That would be so cute as a top. That $2. I kept digging through the rest of the home textiles and I found a few cute bits, but nothing that really fit my color palette, which is something to keep in mind when thrifting. A few things didn't go well in this next part. My plan for the ties didn't go super well. I did purchase 2 ties, but that's obviously nowhere near enough to make a top. So I think I'll gradually just collect ties I like and then do that as a future project. I also took one look at the men's tees and I knew I wasn't going to have any luck in the graphic tees department. So there goes that idea. And then I didn't have much luck when looking through the sewing and crochet patterns.
finds. I finally started looking through the clothing racks and immediately found this midi skirt hidden away. I actually can't believe I found something so cute so quickly. This felt like a good omen because I kept finding garment after garment that I fell in love with. I literally spent more on this day than I've ever spent on a thrifting trip, and I don't know if it's because the gods knew I needed help with my video or if it's just because I went first thing on a Monday morning. Either way, I feel like the luckiest girl ever for some of my finds. This is why I always say you have to try things on when thrifting. I can't believe how many people I know who actually don't try things on properly prior to purchase just because of how cheap the item is. I always like trying items on and just playing around with their shape just to see if it's even worth taking the item home.
So cute though.
So cute.
I think with this shop in the end, I purchased probably just over half of what I had in my basket. I still can't get over some of these pieces I found. Like, the thrifting gods really blessed me on this day. The second store I went to is usually my favorite. I think it gets all the good stuff because it's the first in line of thrift stores, so people just drop their stuff off there. But I really struggled to find a lot here. Although I will say the pieces I did purchase from this store are probably my favorite pieces from the day. I found this plaid skirt, which I thought the fabric maybe had potential, but it was a bit too close in color to one of my old school uniforms, and it kind of triggered me, so I left it there. I did find this tie, but the fact that it fell off the hook in this clip told me not to buy it, so that's the first thing that I left behind here. This skirt, however, it's unbelievable that I found this. The waistband with the embroidery is actually everything to me, and I don't think I'll ever be more in love with a feature on a garment. This dress I thought had potential until I tried it on, and then I realized the coloring completely washed me out, which then made me leave behind this scarf in similar coloring. But then this scarf literally made me feel like I was glowing, and I think it will make the most beautiful summer dress. And lastly, I found this suede jacket. Normally I don't thrift jackets as we come into summer because I know it's just going to sit in my wardrobe untouched for months, but my boyfriend spotted it and told me to try it on just to see, and I unfortunately did fall in love. It's actually brand new with the tag still on it. I did end up buying it and I don't regret a thing. It's time to do these upcycles. Hold on, let me get comfortable in my little nest. So I have designed like a few different bits and pieces. I have 3 that I think would be fairly simple, and then I've got like a couple more that I think would be a little bit more complex. So I think today I'm just going to do 3 of like the easier ones, and then the more complex designs I can do a different video if you guys want to see that, just because I don't want this video to be too long. I say easier designs, but I tend to underestimate how difficult things are, and I always overestimate my skill level. Like, I think I forget that I literally learned how to sew properly, what, like 2-3 months ago, and I'm still learning. So I don't know where this like delusion comes from, but you know, sometimes it helps. I'm just going to quickly run you through the design ideas that I have for today. They are something that I'm probably going to adjust as I go, because obviously I have an idea in my mind, but once I start creating, I tend to like get other ideas and then things change, and I don't know, that's usually how we end up with failures. So I found that lace European pillowcase that I literally fell in love with straight away. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it, so I got started on it yesterday. I did film what I did yesterday, but I just was having a really bad hair day. I was having a bad energy day. I just did not feel like myself. I wasn't feeling creative. I wasn't feeling motivated. And you know, that's the thing about creative ruts, is it's not like you're in it and then you're out of it. It takes like a little bit to get out of it. On days like today, I'm feeling very excited and ready to like hit the ground running. And then days like yesterday, I'm just like almost forcing myself to get the job done. So I'm not really happy with any of the footage that I filmed yesterday, but I will show you bits of what I've done with the lace bag so far. Today is all about doing the finishing touches of the lace bag. So I need to hem the like edges of the bag. I haven't really decided how I'm going to do that yet, if I'm going to use bias tape or just like hem the lace as is. I also need to neaten up the straps. I'm not going to take off any length of the straps because the idea is that it's an adjustable bag. I can have it as a crossbody bag if I want, or I can have it as a little shoulder bag with a big lace bow, which I think is really cute, and that's probably how I'll wear it most of the time. The other 2 things that I want to do is just basically get that purple top to fit me me properly. The length of it is okay. It's probably a little bit too long for my liking, so I think I'm going to do some ruching, gathering is probably a better word, on the sides where my waist is, just to pull that length up and also just to give a little bit of shaping to the top as well, rather than it just being like completely tight to my body. And that way also I don't have to like cut off anything off the bottom, and I won't have to like redo a hem along the bottom, because I don't like doing hems. I feel like I can never make them look professionally done, so I like to avoid them where I can. Lastly, we're going to play around with that blue scarf that I have. I did have an idea to do a halter neck, like low back dress, but I am having an issue with that because the scarf is so sheer. There's no way that I could actually ever wear it, and I want these things to be wearable. Obviously I could wear something underneath the dress to make it more appropriate, but I don't really know with that neckline and with it being a low back top, I don't really know like what I would wear underneath it. I'm really struggling with an idea for the scarf because I really was so set on a dress. Like that's why I bought the scarf. I just don't know how I would go about wearing it realistically, unless I just use it as a beach cover up, or unless I change like the neckline. I'm just gonna do the other two, and then I think the scarf will be one that we figure out as we go. Let's get started on this lace bag. I'm just gonna finish it up. Enjoy.
Initially, I thought I would need to put bias tape along the edge to prevent fraying. I've never used bias tape before. In fact, I had no idea what it was until the lady at my local fabric store suggested it to me one day. But because I've never used it, I also have no idea how to attach it properly. I know Google is free and YouTube is right there, but I've always preferred learning the hard way, so I just did what I thought would work, which, shocker, it didn't. The combination of me, my machine, and lace being really hard to control made me resort to hand stitching the bias taping on. This was a colossal waste of time. I realized in this whole process that the lace wasn't even fraying and that the bias tape wasn't the right shade of white, so I instead decided to ditch that idea and just neaten up the edges. After wasting about an hour on something I didn't even end up doing, I moved on to the straps. Really all I did was cut off the excess material that had originally been stitched into the seams of the pillowcase. This upcycle was incredibly simple, mostly because all of the hard work was already done for me, but that's the first one done. The next piece seemed like a simple enough task. I started with putting the top on and roughly pinning it where it needed to be taken in. Admittedly, I probably could have done this more efficiently because I think I should have taken a little more off, but by the time I finished these clips, I couldn't think of anything worse than touching my sewing machine, at least for a few more days. Anyway, I roughly pinned it and then sketched out a new outline with my chalk. I really need better chalk for this task because this makes me want to rip my hair out every single time. If you guys know of a good quality chalk for fabric, please do let me know. I picked out my thread. I had a perfect color match, which is always satisfying. This type of thread is another blessing from my great grandma. I don't really have to worry about buying new thread for every project, which is great. This flip was pretty simple and straightforward for the most part. I basically just did a zigzag stitch along the line I had drawn, and when I got to just before the waist, I started folding the fabric to create the gathering I imagined. I saw a girl on TikTok doing this and I found it really satisfying to watch, so naturally I had to try it for myself. Unfortunately, the footage for that part has vanished into thin air, so I'm really sorry, but I have no way to show that part. However, it did end up working. It's not as neat as I'd like for it to be, but that's just the perfectionist in me. And now I know that I'm capable of doing this, I fear no top in my wardrobe is safe. Like I mentioned earlier, this scarf is beautiful, but it's offensively sheer, and I genuinely started off having no real clue what to pull together for this one. I almost gave up entirely. I designed a couple different things when trying out different necklines, like this mini dress, but I knew immediately that it was probably outside my realm of expertise, and I also was unlikely to wear it even if I was successful. It wasn't until I folded the material in half and tested what it would look like as a halter neck that it clicked for me. So the design I ended up settling on is basically what I wanted originally, but in top form, which if I'm honest, I'll likely wear more often anyway. This whole process of trying to drape things directly on my body has made me realize how desperately I need to invest in a dressmaker mannequin, but I'm caught between buying that or an overlocker, and I'm really bad at making decisions. Anyway, at this point I was on my third upcycle of the day and I didn't have the patience to rethread my machine. Also, I had run out of bobbins and I couldn't be bothered unraveling one I already had, so I just pretended like the purple thread was part of the vision. The only seam I did on this was down the back. Initially the seam was dead straight, which I realized immediately after doing it that kind of shape made no sense for the look I was going for, so I had to unpick it and redo it on an angle so that I could have that looser low back look. I also realized that the stitching was making the fabric bunch up, which I'm assuming was an issue with my tension, but I couldn't unpick and redo it again because the fabric was too delicate and I knew it would start to fall apart. To be honest, I wouldn't want anyone to look at this upcycle up close. It's not my greatest work, and that's partially because of my skill level, but mostly it's because of how impatient I became, and I also lost motivation for this one. Anyway, that's everything from me. Here's the final results.